because I'm expecting trick-or-treaters at my house for the first time in my adult life, and because I know some of those trick-or-treaters and or their parents will want to be socially distant, I decided to create a basket for my RC car that I could use to deliver candy. The idea is I'd be able to drive my car out to them with a candy in the basket, and they can stay as far away as they feel comfortable. I started this by using Fusion 360 and coming up with the design. Now the design is 10 parts. You've got your bottom brackets there. You've got, your basket is actually two separate parts. There's a bracket for mounting the lights, which you saw. And that's, it took 40, I think almost 50 hours of 3D printing and a bunch of different steps to make this happen. So I put together a little bit of footage of the printer, and then I put together footage of the process of assembling the car and the basket. All right. Now that we have the base, the parts are mostly printed at this point. Actually, I should say they're all printed. I just haven't dry fit them all yet. So, with that in mind, we're going to start looking at what it's going to take to mount this frame that I've printed to this chassis. I'm going to mount it to this plastic part here because I don't want to mount it on the body. The body is not, if you've ever had one of these, you know the body is not exactly the most stable, and it rests on top of the spring, so it's a little more subject to things. I'd like to get it stuck underneath here. Now, the way that I built this, we've got our frame here, like that, and the trickiest part is really just going to be lining this thing up so that it looks decent and is centered. Centering is going to be kind of the most difficult part. Still, actually not 100% sure how I plan on doing that piece of it. Probably going to want to take... can I adjust this? Sweet. Yeah, I'm probably going to want to take this and flip it upside down and raise it up on something so that I can actually line this up on the bottom and do some measurements. So with that, I will be back in a couple minutes. Not really for you, but like for me. And I'll have something set up to flip this over where I can set this frame on the bottom and get the holes lined up correctly. Alright, now I have a box under here. Just lifting that up a little bit. That gives me the access I need to line this sucker up. Actually, it's probably as good an idea as I need to go charge this battery right now. Alright, so we're all good with that. We've now got the battery out, so now we've got a little bit more wiggle room here. So these are going to be attached by M3 screws, which I got them from McMaster Car. And M3 screws are 3mm nominal. The holes on this I tried to print to be like 3.2, 3.4 millimeters. Didn't quite work. You really need about 3.6 to make it work without having to use the drill press to drill it out. Anyway, so what we're going to try to do here is figure out if there's a way to make sure that this is like properly centered. So, we have to assume that, can I take this off? Take that off for a second. Alright, so let's see, we are about 19 centimeters, which is like I don't know, 7.5 inches, about 19 centimeters wide at this part here, including these side bits. This is really not the most stable way of mounting this thing, but it is what it is. It'll let me get there. So we're looking at probably 255 millimeters, 25.5 centimeters. Everything I did for this project, I did based on metric because it's so much easier to model in that. So I'm gonna have to deal with it. This I made 250 millimeters wide. How do I do that? Oh, this is it's 245. So there's about 2 millimeters of play on either side of this for this particular device. Now, front to back is less important, but I just want to make sure that I'm not doing something stupid here. That actually looks pretty good. Yeah, I got these 4, there's little screw holes here, I think, for the side pieces. And if I line up off of that, I think it'll be a bit better. Now, the one thing I didn't do is I didn't account for the bottom is kind of a V shape. It's kind of shaped, you know, like that. I've got some washers that may help with that. We'll see. We'll have to look at those later. But for now, I'm going to say that's pretty... I don't want to look quite touching. I mean, that's pretty reasonably mounted for my purposes. This is an inexact science. So what I'm going to do, grab some of this blue painter's tape once I get this kind of mounted where I think I like it. And I'm just going to see if I can get a little something, anything to kind of tack it down just so I can mark it. That looks pretty... it's pretty good. Alright, so I'm just gonna, I don't think there's anything underneath that's, you can see, zoom in here, you can see those little X's that I made, there's 4 of them, you can't see the other one behind the ECU, or whatever the heck this is, I call it ECU, ESC, nothing underneath that's gonna, you know, mess me up, that's gonna be ruined, so... some hard plastic, it's not gonna lie. Alright. There's 4 holes drilled in a, not brand new by any means. I think this is about 5 years old. RC car. I've had this for a while, haven't really done anything with it. The place that was near me, a place I actually bought it 5 years ago or whatever it is, closed down not long after I bought it, I found out the other day. They actually have a dirt track and everything. I might be able to sneak back out there. I don't know how strictly locked down it is. I drove by it earlier today and I don't know, maybe I'll do something with it later. So, that's the first step. We're going to see if I did anywhere close to what I needed to for this this build here. Alright, I got, these are, look at these cute little bolts. This is how I got all the hardware from McMaster Car. Which is a great place to go. That Bolt Depot is another one. If you need something really specific, like I did, and you don't want to pay an arm and a leg for it, it's not a bad gig. So this just got done printing yesterday. This is the basket sides, which you saw in the Fusion video earlier. I haven't recorded that part yet. This is just continuity or some whatever. I'll clean that up a little bit. I don't want to spend the time sanding all of this because it really doesn't make that much difference. There's a little bit, see a little bit of the filament there that I used to print. So yeah, when I do the Fusion part, it'll be a screen recording and I'll kind of show you how I envisioned all of this fitting together, and so far it's been pretty good on that respect. So, alright, now, I don't know if these are, I think these are the 50mm bolts, screws, which are the ones I got because I knew that now this dimension here, when I put these on, ooh, I'll clean those up a little bit. Yeah, I think these are 30mm, these standoffs. So alright. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to mount this from the top and the screws are going to come down like this. Through here. If I can, yeah. So, screws are going to come down from the top. And I got this one stuck already. Alright. So, with all of that now aside, we are ready for the moment of truth that I have been... The printing process on this build, it's the first time I've ever printed something like this. I think I total up almost 50 hours of prints were running for this one, for this project. You know, that's quite a lot of printing time. So I can get through here and there. Ooh, there's not a lot of room there, isn't there? Do I want to put? Yeah, let's put. I don't think. Are these my 40 mils? Or are these my 50s? These are my 50s. Okay, so those are my 40s. Those have another use. I thought they might be usable for this. They are not. So I'm going to use my 50mm M3 bolts for this attachment. It's the main reason I got the 50s, just in case. Now I've got back here this boatload of brass and copper washers that are about the right size, so I'm going to use a handful of them. I mean, look at the... So I picked this up at a estate sale. Like, there's 3 different sets of drawers. This one is full of washers and hardware and stuff. So let's do this way. Have all these little nuts and bolts back here. I got a thing of washers. So I got a whole bunch of brass washers. I pulled out these brass washers. Right now you're looking at a 50mm M3 bolt, 2 brass washers, Lighting over here is going to be terrible, but there's one on top. I'm going to be putting all this together. There's going to be another brass washer. I'm only using brass because I've got them. I got this. And then I'm going to use one of these little bitty cutie, cute things. Little itty bitty lock washers. And that's going to go on the bottom. And hopefully this all fits, because I've measured it. Even though I did some racketing earlier to drill the holes through the chassis, I think it was okay. Alright. Okay, there's one. This is the one I'm most concerned about. So, come on. Maybe I don't do that one first. Maybe I do this one first. Okay. Some issues right off the bat with the hole size. Guess I gotta clean this out a little bit. That's just some bathroom fine. Alright, hopefully that cleared things out a little bit. I did get something, whatever it was I got. That's much better. Now, there isn't a front and a back to this piece. Like, I can put this on either way, really, and it's not going to make a difference. So, why is that still having issues? Okay, I need to take that one out. You gotta be kidding me. I just did this. I did learn my lesson on these holes, though. You kind of need to make them 3.6 millimeters at least if you want a 3 millimeter bolt to go through them on the prints, because otherwise, like the printing resolution, and there's a bunch of other factors, but all told, it doesn't seem to. All right, now even with the one hole being a tiny bit off, we are successful. Sort of. And now we are. Well, okay. So, okay, the plastic is not hitting up. This plastic right here is not hitting up against the bottom of the chassis, which is what I wanted. So the two washers did that. And I'm not going to use washers anywhere else. You can see that for these, I don't know if you can actually see that. Yeah, these bolts I didn't. I also may have slightly underestimated it, but I've got so many washers. Now, I need to, these are tiny, really small. Actually, realistically, do I want to do it this way, or do I want to flip it upside down? Maybe I do. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll bolt up. I think I will. I think I will bolt up. But yeah, these are actually lock washers. You can kind of see. You get real close. It doesn't matter. You can't actually see it. But trust me, they're lock washers. I can only get them on the very end, and then I have to hold them with a pair of needle nose pliers while I tighten them down with a special screwdriver, mini screwdriver. Probably most people who actually work on these RC cars more than I do have, but because there's a couple of different areas in here that I could see them being useful in. There we go. Now the downside of this is obviously I'm massively reducing my suspension travel here. That's not the point of it, really. I'm not doing this for function. I mean, I am doing it for function, but I'm not doing it for, it's not going to be a permanently mounted thing. Alright, so you can see, if I bring it close, all of the washers, all of the nuts, they're all, you know, right on the end there. So I'm going to take in a couple minutes, ignore my dice molds, that's other videos, and tighten all these down. Alright, now the other thing, alright, so we are in business for some value of business. We got our 4 little studs sticking up there. I don't know if you can see that. The little studs sticking up there. This is now mounted as securely as, well, not as securely as I'd like, but about as securely as it can be. The next step is, well, there's actually, I shouldn't say the next step. Next thing I'm going to do, can I get this off? Yeah. Allegedly, there is, underneath this little box, a place to plug in accessories. I have not yet printed out the bracket that will hold this, which is a little mini LED light bar, onto the frame, the overall frame. This I will have to cut through the so we've got, how's this thing turn on? Oh, there's no battery in here. That's probably why it's not turning on. Likely why it's not turning on. I have a battery. This is a charged battery, fully charged battery. Oh yeah, check that out. It's got blue and red right now. Can make it a cop car. More cop cars, more cop cars, more cop cars. Oh, I thought this one could do white. Whatever. I'd probably just do that one. White in the middle, lighten everything up. But that's going to be cool.